Okay, so Black Bolt and White Flare, now known in English as Black Bolt and White Flare, got a few cards revealed this past weekend, during a Champions League in Japan. And it's going to be a special set, which is interesting because it's two sets instead of just the typical one. But it does come with a lot of really good cards so far. So I want to go and take a look through these reveals because they do look really interesting. I know I'm a bit late on this, but I have been very busy the past few days. I've not had the ability to take a look through these. Anyways, starting with Black Bolt, we have Superior, because Snivy and Servine, not much to talk about. Wrap, discard, which is interesting that it's not a trapping move because it's wrap. Anyways, Superior. Attacks used by your Pokemon do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. This is a Muscle Band on a Stage 2. It's not the worst ability. The only issue is, again, it's a Stage 2. So getting it into play for 20 more damage, is that worth it? My guess is going to be no for now because it's a 101 line at the very worst with a rare candy, or a 111 line that you have to get out manually evolving. Yes, you have 100 HP, so you're not getting bench sniped by cards like Darmanitan. Um, but I don't think it'll be worth it as a tech. As its own deck, maybe, because Grass Order says search for 3 cards and put them into your hand. So maybe using this to find like stalling cards, as Sylveon GX did back in the day, that could be an interesting strategy. I'm not entirely sure because again, it's a stage 2. Sylveon was a stage 1 and also had much more resources. We'll see what happens. But the grass triple colorless is interesting because of a special energy we're going to see later. Victini, 120 V-Force. If you have less than 5 bench, this attack does nothing. It could be decent. It is effectively a Lily's Clefairy, but on a single prizer, only counting your own bench, because Lily's Clefairy says 20 damage plus 20 for each of both benches. So if your bench is 5, you're doing 120. So Victini is effectively a one-sided Clefairy. That's on a one prizer. Decent damage, hitting for weakness. You could knock out basic V, not basic Vs, Sword and Shield is long gone. Basic EXs for 240, but as a decent single prizer into other single prizers, I think it could be good. We also have another special energy coming back that could make Ho-Oh Armarouge into a decent deck. So this could be a good tech card for that. We have Kyurem EX. Kyurem, Zekrom, and Reshiram all have references to their old black and white printings, which is really interesting. Um, as for Kyurem, slash 50 damage, nothing important. Blizzard Burst, 130, 10 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each prize card your opponent has taken. Whereas the original Kyurem did 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench. So that is the reference for the Kyurem, where it's doing the bench spreading. So you can do 50 damage to your opponent's bench if they take 5 prizes, which I want to say is good, but we're getting Shaman and Destined Rivals, so I'm not sure. If decks don't play Shaman, then yes, this Kyurem is going to be good. But I feel like Shaman is going to be played, especially because we have Electric. This is a one-to-one reprint of the Noble Victories printing. The only exception is the fact that Dynamotor in the Scarlet and Violet print is likely going to say Basic Lightning. So if Pokemon wants to be pedantic, then you won't be able to use the Noble Victories, but I have a feeling you're going to be able to use the Noble Victories printing because I've seen the Japanese translation. Electric Ball is one-to-one, Dynamotor is one-to-one. Everything is exactly the same. Should be able to use the Noble Victories print, which is interesting because we haven't been able to do that since a Magikarp from Shining Fates back in Sun and Moon. Dynamotor, if you've played during the past year, you know Flaffy. Attach a lightning from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. Miraidon is going to love this. The only issue is Miraidon does not have Raichu V anymore, but we can go ahead and skip down to Zekrom EX because Thundurus is honestly kind of bulk. Electros, you're never going to evolve into it. Zekrom has Voltage Burst, which does 50 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken, and you deal 30 recoil to yourself, which we don't care about. 30 recoil would actually be beneficial because uh, you could play a special energy to count as dark for Monkey Dory and just move that 30. Anyway, Voltage Burst being a good late game attacker, as was the Raichu, because if your opponent takes 4 prizes, you're knocking out every stage 2 EX, which is really good. I don't think anybody needs to say that. Zekrom does seem to be like a really good finisher. Kind of like Blood Moon, but better than Blood Moon because you're not reliant on an ability that can get shut off by a simple stadium. We have a reprint of Air Balloon. Retreat cost is 2 less. They are very intent on not reprinting Floatstone, and I do love Air Balloon because a lot of support Pokemon right now are to retreat. We have Zekrom to retreat, Electric to retreat. We have Ho-Oh coming out, which is to retreat. Zoroark EX to retreat. Most, as I said, most good support Pokemon right now are to retreat, which makes Air Balloon effectively a Floatstone. Professor's Research reprint, unfortunately, it does not reset the legality. It is still G regulation, so nothing to write home about there. This is the energy I was talking about with Ho-Oh Box and also with Zekrom. Prism Energy. This card provides colorless energy. If it's attached to a basic, however, it's a rainbow. And unlike Luminous, you can have multiple Prism Energies on a single Pokemon, and they still count. So if you use Zekrom with Prism Energy, you attach Prism to your Monkey Dory, it counts as a Dark Energy, and you get to move it. You get to move the 30 that Zekrom deals as additional damage. And it's also just not a dead card because if you don't get Monkey Dory out, you can just attach the Prism as another Lightning. This is what I like about Rainbow Energies. They act as multiple versatile energies during the game, which helps out a lot. For Ho-Oh Armarouge, I've been trying to theory craft Prism Energy into that deck because it just gives you more box options compared to Luminous. Yes, Luminous allows you to attack with evolved Pokemon, but Prism Energy allows you to attack with more attacks if you can get multiple Prism Energies out, which can help out surprisingly a lot. Excuse me. We have Emboar, which is a reprint of its black and white incarnation, just powered up. Inferno Fandango, attach a fire energy from your hands, one of your Pokemon, as often as you like. A lot of people are unfortunately calling this a fire type Baxcalibur, which hurts my soul. I love Baxcalibur, but calling this a fire type Baxcalibur is a disservice to the original one and also to the Deluge Blastoise. Uh, but Inferno Fandango is likely gonna be really good. The only issue is Budew. Um, but thankfully Tepig can knock Budew out for 2 energy or 1 energy and a Vitality Band. Um, so we'll see. As for Emboar, we have Reshiram to pair with it. 130, 50 damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. The reference to the original is the discarding an energy, which I forgot to mention. The reference for the Zekrom is the 30 damage. Zekrom from Black and White did 40 to itself, I want to say. So yeah, Zekrom EX dealing 30 to itself is the reference. And same with Reshiram. It doesn't deal. It discards 1 energy when the original printing did 2. Discarding 2 energy, I mean. 130, this card is actually, I think this is better than Zekrom. Yes, it has the same damage modifier, but discarding energy is much more easier to get around than dealing 30 damage to yourself, especially when you have 230. Samurott, we have Strong Currents. Both players switch their active Pokemon effectively. It's fine, I guess, but it's not the best ability. I would rather just play an Iron Bundle for now, because you just push a Pokemon out of the way. And it's on a basic, not a stage 2, and also clears a bench spot. Energy Slash 30, plus 50 for each energy attached to this Pokemon. If you have a way to accelerate multiple energies, then maybe, but at most I can see you doing 230 in a single turn, and that's because of the special energy that is in White Flare. but I don't see this being a good card, unfortunately. We have moving on, we have Stoutland, Odor Sleuth, flip 3 coins, free chads, put a card from your discard pile into your hand. We had Silene just recently, and it wasn't the worst card because it was on a supporter, and you could just constantly cycle it with Palpad and Team Yell's unfortunately, with Stoutland, well, not unfortunately, you can recycle, as you can see, Ignition Energy, um, but it's just needing to flip at least one heads to get the Ignition Energy back to pay for the Odor Sleuth. So to get any sort of mileage out of this, you need to flip 2 heads at least, which is kind of unfortunate, and I think that's going to hold it back. Special Fang, if you have special energy, you do 200 damage. It's not enough, unfortunately. If Stoutland does see play, it's going to be for that first attack, which I don't think is that good. But Sander is a deck builder. He is a control king. We'll see what they do. And if it does end up being a Stoutland deck, then I will eat my words. Energy Retrieval reprint, and this is an actual reprint. The regulation mark is getting updated, so that is staying for an extra year. We have a Charon reprint, so get your black and white copies because it's just a straight reprint, draw 3. Um, I'm joking about getting your copies. It's unless research rotates and we're desperate for draw cards, Charon is not going to see play. But for now, research is still on the quote unquote rotation block. So unless we get something new by then, research is going to be gone from format for a bit. And another supporter with Hilda. I'm so happy that protagonists are getting supporters, because they honestly just supporters getting not supporters protagonists getting supporters is a really interesting concept, because they're also part of the game. So why would they not get supporters? Anyways, Hilda, search for an evolution and an energy card. Reveal them, put them into your hand. Notice that it says energy, not basic energy, so you can search for special energies. Hilda, as I said, I'm theory crafting a Ho-Oh Armarouge deck. 1 copy of Hilda to search for your Armarouge and a Prism Energy is really good for that deck. There's just a lot of versatility with Hilda. You can also search for Paldea Evolved Luxray and a Reversal Energy and play it down immediately for your supporter. So that's another combination. And yeah, I feel like Hilda is going to see some experimentation. Is it good? Yes, any special energy search is really nice. But we will see what happens with the evolution Pokemon, or if Colress is just better for searching the stadium instead of the evolution Pokemon. And finally, we have Ignition Energy, which this is a better triple acceleration energy if you remember that from Unbroken Bonds. Ignition Energy says if this card is attached to one of your Pokemon, discard it at the end of your turn. Same as triple acceleration. However, what's different is that this card provides a colorless energy while it's attached to any Pokemon. Triple Acceleration energy could only be attached to evolution Pokemon to provide energy, whereas with this, it can provide at least 1 colorless to a basic if you're in a pinch. Uh, as for the actual effect, if this is attached to an evolution, it provides 3 colorless instead. Um, this is better. Well, not better, but it's on the same wavelength as Reversal Energy. Yes, Reversal is 3 rainbow, but Ignition Energy can be attached to any evolution Pokemon, which includes Rulebox Pokemon, and also it can be attached and where am I going with this? It can be used when you're ahead on prizes. That's what I meant to say. Reversal Energy is only when you're behind, whereas Ignition can be used anytime. So I'd say about even. And that is what we know so far for Black Bolt and White Flare. This set is likely going to be legal for the World Championships. Don't quote me on that because I'm not entirely sure. We typically have a subset during the World Championships, so maybe. If we do, that's going to be a very interesting World Championships. For now, though, this is, like I said, this is looking to be a really interesting set to shake up a lot. We have, we still have so many more cards to come, and every Unova Pokemon is getting a secret, is getting an illustration rare at the least. So, with that, I can't say how much I'm looking forward to this set because it does look really good. But that is that is going to be all for me for now. I hope that you all have enjoyed this little set review for the Black and White special set, and I will see you all later. Hope you had an electrifying time watching this video.